Michelle, you want to sit in the middle?
Come on, girl. Let's get in the middle. We're going to get in the middle.
Thank you so much for that.
Go ahead.
Hi, BCA family.
We are excited to be here tonight.
No, we're not.
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
yes, we are. We could be more excited to be with you guys virtually, and we're excited to be getting drunk. I mean, having an awesome cooking lesson with Adam, and we're looking forward to a great evening. And please don't text anything in the chat box because we can't see it. So just have fun cooking and get a nice bottle of wine or bourbon or whatever we're going to do together and have an awesome time. So great to be with you.
Excited. Have fun, everyone. I'm going to step off and let the guys take charge.
So guys, we're going to thank you for having us. My name's Adam Delasso. I'm the executive chef of 12th Street Catering. We're going to start off tonight a little bit backwards. We're going to start off with our drink and our hot chocolate, and we're going to make a spiked bourbon whipped cream. And we're going to get started with the spiked bourbon whipped cream. So if you have a sous chef working with you tonight, like I have Sean here, you're going to have them start to do the whipped cream by hand. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do the whipped cream. You can do it with a blender, electric mixer, but we're going to do it old school. So, Sean, if you can grab...
Or make your own special cream. We know a lot of the guys out there are very good at making their own special cream. But that's a different story.
So you want to grab the whipped cream
there
in the jar over there, pour that right into your bowl. It says whipped cream. Yep. So everybody got a little bit of whipped cream. We're gonna start off by pouring all that into the bowl. No, it doesn't matter. The whipped cream should be cold. Pour it all in there.
Is there any way that the BCA
and then you should have also powdered sugar, which is right in front of you. Pour that right in there. A little powdered sugar.
Don't sniff it.
And then you're going to start whisking it with a whisk. You could whisk it a little bit differently with a hand blender. But one of the techniques of whisking it, let me show you, Sean, real quick.
Please, thank you.
So one of the techniques of whisking it, if you whisk just like back and forth, but you're actually supposed to try and go and make a figure 8 and back and forth. That'll help you a little bit better. And you want to try and keep it inside the bowl. So you, Sean?
Oh, keeping inside the bowl is important.
Keep it inside the bowl.
Figure eights and inside the bowl.
Was it all the cream?
So
Was it all the
I want
cream?
everybody having their partner or whoever's working with them to start whipping the cream. When the cream becomes a little bit like medium or soft peaks, that's when we're going to add the bourbon. But you can work out a little harder. You got to whip a little faster, Sean.
Is it both containers of chicken or just one?
My special technique. Oh, yeah.
How much cream?
Oh, my God.
How much cream?
Yeah, is it both creams or just one?
Your arm might get a little sore.
Some of us are used to that.
You can't hear it.
So, while your sous chef is dying over here with whipping the cream, we're going to start by heating you also got a container of cream and of milk. We're going to make our hot chocolate right now by pouring our milk and our cream together.
Can you guys do me one favor? We just have to slow down a little bit, and then anybody that has questions, ask them to use the chat.
Okay.
For us too.
Hey guys, I just got informed that we're going a little too quick because Sean's beating it too hard.
Slow down the beating.
And we're going to ask you guys, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And we have somebody over here helping us out with the chat. She's doing an amazing job trying to help us out with the chat. So if you have any questions, let me know. So keep on whisking. You're going to get your whipped cream. You could use an electric mixer. You could use a blender if you wanted to make it a little bit quicker. Or you could just use a whisk and a bowl.
Mine's still really creamy. Is that supposed to be like that?
Yes, keep on going.
Okay.
Keep on going. So, well, the next thing we're going to start while my sous chef is whipping the cream, we're going to start by adding in. There's a question.
You're asking for using both creams.
No, just the one cream for the whipped cream. The other cream we're going to put in our pot, and we're going to heat it up with our milk. So you got 2 containers of cream. One container is for the whipped cream, and the other container is for our pot to heat it up.
In
The bowl, like I did?
in
Yes,
the cream.
of course.
Yes, you put all the powdered sugar in with the whipped cream. So in Sean's bowl right now, he has the whipped cream, the 1 container of cream, and the powdered sugar. And then we're gonna put into our pot, we're gonna put in our heavy cream and our milk, the other container of heavy cream and our milk into a medium pot. Then we also had granulated sugar. I have another question. Then just take half of it out and put it into your pot. If you poured both creams into your with your powdered sugar, you're going to take half of it out and put it into your pot with your milk.
The key is the figure 8.
The figure 8 is the key. So in my pot right here now, I have my 1 heavy cream, my 1 milk, and my granulated sugar, and I'm going to bring that up to a boil. On my trusty little burner, I'm going to heat that up on medium-high heat. You don't want to scorch it, but you want to bring it up to a boil so that it's warm. I'm going to just mix in our sugar a little bit.
Eddie says she wants everybody to take a shot every time Adam says cream.
We can do that.
Keep going.
Do I don't know. Really?
We're going to put them to work.
Okay, I've never made cream like this.
So in my pot right now, I have 1 container of heavy cream, 1 container of the milk, all my granulated sugar, and I'm bringing it up to a boil. On the side, we have the chocolate little nuggets. You're basically, what you're doing right now is you're making a ganache. And hot chocolate, oh, you're doing good. Hot chocolate is like a ganache. In a way, it's a little bit a thinner ganache. So we took more heavy cream, more milk, and a little bit of chocolate. We're gonna temper them together. And the best way to do that, instead of trying, because if I poured this chocolate right into this bowl right now, it would break. All the hot chocolate would break. So what you have to try and do is gently add hot cream to your milk. And the way that you do that,
He said it, not me.
the way you do that is that you're going to get another mixing bowl. If you guys have a mixing bowl around the house, and you're going to dump in your chocolate into your mixing bowl. So all of your chocolate goes right in your mixing bowl.
Jesus. I mean,
That hurts. I'm working you out.
as Adam said, you can't get a blender. It might be easier.
All right. So it's at that point right now. You have it's a little bit thicker. It's about soft peaks. So you're going to add a little bit of the bourbon. So
Many jokes, but we're not going to say that. This is a family event.
I'm saying around an ounce of bourbon you can add. But if you like bourbon, you can add a little bit more. But if you were a bartender, an ounce of bourbon, if you can just measure it. If not, that's more than an ounce. That's
Okay.
good. That's a lot of bourbon. And then as it's a little bit soft, then you're going to continue to whisk it. You're going to get a little bit thicker.
Ooh, my
You
God,
didn't wanna-
yes.
You wouldn't want to add your bourbon in the beginning because then you wouldn't actually get it to whiff as stiff as you'd like it. So my cream is coming up to a boil with my sugar.
My cream is getting thick.
Yeah. I'm telling you what my cream is doing. You're telling me what your cream is doing.
How's your cream, BCA?
Huh? How's everybody doing so far? Everybody got their sous chef working hard?
This actually works.
And your cream whipping up? Okay.
Are they whipping it hard enough?
Do you want to just go through your steps from like where we're at right now?
Sure. So right now, Sean's whipping it. He just whipped his cream to medium, soft peaks. Then he added his bourbon he added 2 ounces. I'd say about an ounce. In my pot right here, I have my milk and my heavy cream and my sugar, my granulated sugar, and I'm bringing that up to a boil. In my bowl, I have my chocolate chips that we sent, And we're gonna pour, once your cream and your milk is up to a boil, we're gonna pour in our cream and milk right into our chocolate chips. How we doing? Oh, that's perfect.
That is awesome cream.
Here,
This is the best cream I've ever made.
He has gotten it to, if you guys can see this, Sean has gotten it and whipped it. How's your arm feeling?
It feels awesome. I'm ready to do my writing.
So this has gotten to stiff peaks. So you could get it to soft peaks, but you would want this to be at stiff peaks. So it just holds on onto your spoon right here.
Is it stiff enough?
If stiff enough.
Okay.
Adam, do you want to show me how to put it in the main screen?
Yeah, sure.
I'll put that up.
So the whipped cream is definitely on its stiff peaks right here. So if you whipped it a little bit more, it would actually start to turn into butter and it'll granulate. But if it's at this stage right here, this is perfect. And you're basically making homemade whipped cream. It's pretty easy if you have a blender or a mixer, but Sean uses arms.
Muscle. Old school.
And I guess you're left-handed, right?
I am, yeah.
Left-handed. So that whipped cream is done. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna temper our chocolate with our heavy cream and milk combination. And we're basically gonna pour this right over top of this. This is the heavy cream. I'm gonna put this right over here. Celeste, if you can there we go. I'm gonna pour this right over top. And what this does is this helps us to mix together our heavy cream and our milk. And if you did it the opposite way, where you added your chocolate to your pan, it would actually start to burn. So after this is all mixed up, I'm gonna add this back to my pot. And then we're gonna bring it back slowly up to a boil or a simmer. If I get my little Bunsen burner working. I'm gonna bring that right back up to a boil. If you can stir that with a fork.
Should I do that for you?
There you go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Would you like me to stir that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just stir that right up. You're basically, you're gonna keep on stirring that until that mixes in and incorporates. It's important the step you had was where you poured the heavy cream over top of the chocolate, mix that together first, then put your cream and your chocolate mixture back into your pot. If you did it the other way, it would start to break a little bit. And all you have to do is just gently warm it up and it'll be nice and emulsified together. So I got a little mugs ready for us. So in this right now, I had my heavy cream, my milk, my sugar, all up to a boil. Then I poured my heavy cream over top of my chocolate and mixed it together and let that melt. And as it melted, then I'm whisking it, put it back in the pot so it thickens up to a little bit of a boil. How's it looking?
It looks awesome.
So now it's nice and thick. If you guys can see this, I'm gonna show you right here on this pan. We'd see the texture of it is nice and thick. It's basically hot chocolate. It's almost like chocolate soup. If you're trying to make chocolate soup, nice and rich and decadent. Now you could use a ladle, and we have little coffee cups here. You could use a ladle to pour it in, but I'm gonna do it and just pour it right in with my pot. And then Sean, if you could take a little bit of whipped cream and garnish the top of it. Just put a spoonful right on top. There you go.
Look at that.
Another spoonful right on top.
Oh, nice.
Maybe a little more, Give me a little more.
There we go.
So in my coffee cup right now, I have the hot chocolate mixture, the bourbon whipped cream right on top, and then we're gonna try it out. You wanna try it out?
Cheers, bro.
Cheers. Oh, I can taste the bourbon right on top.
Mm. That cream is thick.
For this is a perfect little gift for Valentine's Day or a little drink, especially when it's cold out.
Pour it on your favorite partner or spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend. It's delicious.
You don't need much of this. It's so thick and chocolatey and rich. Now you could thin it out a little bit by adding more cream or more milk. But the way that Sean whipped the cream was
Incredible.
whipped it so stiff, it was perfect. It was really good. Cheers, everybody. So hopefully everybody, how's everybody doing with their hot chocolate so far? Good. Everybody, any questions so far?
Thumbs up if you're good. There we go.
Urban whipped
All
cream.
right. Nice.
Yes.
Stacy?
It's delicious. I'm gonna keep drinking it. I've never had a hot chocolate like this before. Is this fat free?
No.
Adam, do me a favor. Can you repeat the steps after you pour it over the chocolate?
Yeah. So basically the steps are, I had a question about pouring the chocolate over. So you want to take and heat up your heavy cream and your milk with your sugar, pour it over top of the chocolate, mix the chocolate together while it's pouring over top of the chocolate, then pour it back into the pot and heat that back up to a boil and whisk it at that point with a spoon or a fork, and you're mixing it back up to the boil and it'll start to tighten up. As soon as it warms, shut it off and you enjoy it.
Do you need to wipe your mouth from the cream?
What kind of chocolate
So-
was it?
At this point, we're going to
Thanks,
start to
Adam.
make our pasta dish.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
One more question.
I have another question, guys.
What kind of chocolate was it?
This kind of chocolate, this is actually Valrhona chocolate. It's 61% dark chocolate. You could use a 75% cocoa butter. You could use a 80% cocoa butter. This was a 65% cocoa butter, meaning it's the amount of cocoa butter to sugar, and it makes it delicious. So you can buy, we use Valrhona or cocoa berry. You could buy Ghirardelli's at the supermarket. I don't know what kind of chocolate do you buy?
Nestle's? I have no idea.
Yeah.
It comes in a bag.
It comes in a bag and I use it. So guys, the next step we're gonna move on to is we're gonna make our nudie. So nudie is our naked ravioli. So it's actually the center of the ravioli that we're gonna make. We're gonna make it with a broth, and then we're gonna saute some mushrooms, and then we're gonna garnish it and put it in the pot. You have another question?
No, I just want to remind everybody, if you have questions during this demo.
Yeah, if you guys have.
cooking class,
Yep.
Please use the chat, because that's the only way I can tell you have questions.
Or call Jillian on her cell phone. She's happy to take your call right now with the donation to our BCA fund. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna start off with is our broth. So I'm gonna start to ask Sean to put together all the ingredients in the broth while I cut them. So the first ingredient is shiitake mushrooms. Can you smell them? So they're dried shiitake mushrooms. You can use other dried mushrooms, but dried shiitake mushrooms put them all in. Put all the dried shiitake mushrooms in there. They have the most flavor and umami of any of the mushrooms that you can get. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in some shallots in there. So I put all the dried shiitake mushrooms in our pot, and we're gonna put in a little bit of shallots. And what I'm doing with the shallot right now is I'm just slicing it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're making a broth. So we're just slicing down the shallots. Sean, you ever seen a shallot before?
I have actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are like little baby small onions. I have another question.
I don't know if you're at this point yet, but what are we putting the mushrooms in?
So
Hot.
a medium pot. We're gonna put down the dried shiitake mushrooms, the dry mushrooms, not the fresh mushrooms, into your pot.
I can do it again.
Is
Watch.
there water or anything? No, there's no water in there.
No.
It's empty.
That
Just-
was just from.
Oh, that was from the shiitake mushrooms.
Yeah. So just the shiitake mushrooms in the pot. The next thing we're gonna do is I slice down one shallot that we had, and we're gonna put them into the pot itself. You're making a broth. So you're gonna we're not gonna use all this stuff. This is just the flavor of the broth. So I'm putting one whole shallot sliced up right into that broth. Then I'm gonna put in, we have garlic. I sent you guys whole cloves of garlic. You have 2 cloves. Save the other clove of garlic. You're only going to use 1 clove of garlic. And you're just going to basically take the clove of garlic and smash it down on the board.
Wow.
And get your little COVID aggression out and just throw down the whole clove of garlic right into the pot.
I've never seen that method before. That's impressive.
So
everybody knows, the flame is not on yet.
I haven't turned on anything yet. No flame, just the shiitake mushrooms, the garlic, and the shallots. Then I'm going to take about 1.5 quarts of water and put it into my pot. One.
Did you use the whole shallot that was shipped?
Yes, I used the whole shallot that was shipped. I sliced down the whole shallot.
Excellent question.
You want to take that one?
Yes, the whole shallot.
The next thing we're going to do is, Sean, can you pour in 1.5 quarts of water into that pot?
Dr. Brandy would like to see what a mushroom looks like.
Sean, you want to show Dr. Brandy what the dried shiitakes look like?
Sure. Could I stick my hand in this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. They look like this. They look like mushrooms. They look like stuff you would see in a mushroom field.
They're dried shiitakes. We have fresh mushrooms that we sent with you guys, but we're not going to use them yet. Then I'm going to take a little bit of thyme, a sprig of thyme, and put that right in there. Then you can put in, if you guys got your prosciutto, this is your prosciutto scrap that you got in. We're going to put the whole prosciutto scrap right into the pot. The whole prosciutto scrap. And you want to, Sean, can you turn that on for me?
Sure.
We're going to turn this on. Oh, turn this down.
Turning the heat on.
We're going to turn the heat on to medium-high heat.
Did you turn it on? Or did I
Turn
turn
this
it on?
all the way down. There we go. It's the magic of a Bunsen burner. So I have the heat. These things only have either high, low, or medium heat. This right now is on high. I'm going to bring this up to a boil in my pot. In our pot. Do you remember what we put in our pot?
Yeah, we put mushrooms and we put the awesome smashed garlic and we put the 1 shallot and we put a little bit of the thyme.
Yeah. And then to finish it off, I sent you guys a little bit of veggie powder. What this is dehydrated vegetables. And we're going to put about a tablespoon of dehydrated vegetable powder right in here. Again, I'm not going to measure it, just about a tablespoon. Right in there. You're going to bring this all up to a boil and let it simmer and boil while you're doing it.
1.5 quarts. 1.5 quarts of water.
Can you remind us how much water you put in there?
1.5 quarts.
I did. That's okay.
Sorry.
Which
2 ounces of bourbon. 2 ounces of bourbon. 1.5 quarts of water. Shiitake mushrooms, shallots, garlic.
Sounds good.
Thyme.
So we're going to bring this up to a boil, guys. You can let it sit and forget it for a little bit. It's going to boil and let simmer while we're making the rest of the stuff. I'm going to actually put this on the back burner so we can do the rest of the demo. But I'm just going to bring it up to a boil and let it simmer. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to saute. We're going to actually clean our mushrooms. We're going to saute our mushrooms up. Are you any good with a knife?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two kinds
How
of
hard can it be?
there's 2 kinds of mushrooms that I got you guys. This is a royal trumpet mushroom. Here you go. That is a royal trumpet mushroom.
So many conversations we're not going to have. What's that? For bris, yes. I'm not going to say it. I am not going to say it.
Sean, you do it well.
The other kind of mushroom I got you guys is called Mayatake mushrooms or head of the woods. These are amazing, amazing mushrooms. They are both really good mushrooms, but what we're going to do is we're going to trim them up. I'll show you one, Sean.
Okay.
So we're going to basically trim the end of the mushroom just like this. And we're going to use these scraps in our mushroom broth. Then we're going to cut it in half. And we're going to slice it down just like this. Just in the rounds. So if you can do that with that one.
Awesome.
So we're going to use these scraps that we had on the end We're going to use these in our mushroom broth. So I'm going to pop that right in our mushroom broth. So right now you should be boiling your mushroom broth as your brodo. And we're cutting our mushrooms. Right now we're cutting our royal trumpet mushrooms. And we're slicing them down. I'm going to take that little nub right there. So one of the things I want to point out to you guys, Sean, I don't want to correct you too much, but one of the things I like to teach you guys is a little bit about knife skills. The way you're holding your knife right now, Sean, you're holding your knife back like this.
Okay.
Choke up a little bit like this.
Okay.
Kind of like you're in the middle, but choke up so that you have more control of your knife.
Got it.
If you hold it back like this, you're basically like a axe murderer.
Got it.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
You choke up just like this, so your thumb is right there.
Okay.
And it helps you cut a little bit easier.
That is much better.
Yeah, so you have a little more control of the knife. It's a little bit better.
Cool. Put them in the pot.
Not yet. We're gonna put them right off to the side. Just keep them right there.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do our maitake mushrooms. So what you want to do is you want to just cut off the bottom of that, and that's going to be the scraps we're going to save.
Okay.
Same thing with this one.
Hi.
These are hen of the woods, or also called maitake mushrooms. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a Japanese restaurant where they deep fry whole mushrooms, and you get a whole head. You can take these heads, put them in a tempura batter, and deep fry the whole thing, and you slice it down, and it comes out like a steak.
Sounds awesome.
And it tastes. Mushrooms are one of these tastes like umami, so it's like their fifth taste.
And just cut them up like I just did before.
You can leave those a little bit hot cold like that.
Question.
Yeah, just like that.
Awesome.
Yep. So if you guys have large pieces, I cut off the ends and the stems of the maitake mushrooms, and I'm going to put these pieces and scraps right into our mushroom stock and save them. Some of the maitakes came already kind of cut up a little bit. Some of them are already cut, but let's see. If you guys have your cluster of maitake mushrooms just like this, what you're going to do is you're going to try and cut off the bottoms of them. So you just cut off the ends of them so that there's still little clumps. If you don't cut off, it doesn't matter how much you cut off, because you can eat the whole mushroom. It's not inedible. We're just trying to trim them up a little bit so we have chunks. So I have nice big chunks of mushrooms. Same thing on here. It's nice and hearty chunks of mushrooms. We're going to try and put all those mushrooms together and just put them right back in this bowl.
Put this back in there too?
Yeah. What we're doing is, as chefs, we try to do a little bit of mise en place. And the hardest thing is to get everything out, time together. You put that right into our stock.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is to kind of time everything. I don't know, when you cook at home, can you get everything done at the same time?
I can.
You can.
Not.
So that's the hardest thing.
I agree.
Is to try and get everything done at the same time and be able to get everything completed, because everything takes a different temperature. Everything takes a different time.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys have joined us for the last class, but you were in the last class. There's a point where everything kind of goes really quickly.
Right.
And you have to move like that as in the kitchen. You have a question?
That's why there's wine.
There's
Drink.
wine.
Yes.
There's wine to drink in between.
Before you start the saute, you want to real quick run through the steps again?
I'm not sauteing anything. Well, all we're gonna do is right now is we have our
Don't
mushrooms.
jump the mushroom gun yet. Don't jump it.
Just hold on to your mushrooms. We just want to get all the scraps and make sure they go into your mushroom stock, so you can develop all that flavor. We just trimmed our mushrooms down right now. We're gonna put them off to the side. It's like what we call in chef world our mise en place, meaning we're prepping everything so that when we're ready to cook everything, everything is ready.
All these people with
Everything
the
is
cameras
ready,
on
and
the
it can all
ground
get
and in
cooked
the
together
air
and
and
put
on the
together
ceiling.
really quickly.
So I think what
One
I'm
of the
gonna
things
do
I just noticed I
is go
forgot
to
to tell you
this
guys
one.
about the put in your mushroom stock. You ever seen anything like this? No.
Yes. In Jamaica.
In Jamaica. So this is called kombu,
Okay.
and it's seaweed.
Oh.
So it's seaweed, and it adds another level of depth to your mushroom stock. You guys got a bunch of different size pieces. I gave you more than you need of the kombu, but this, you can keep it. It's dried. This is how you make dashi. I don't know if anybody, you ever had dashi before?
I've not, no.
So have miso soup?
Yes.
So kind of like miso soup. This is probably one of the flavor ingredients that you
Right.
put in it. But
Now
we're
it's
gonna
coming back to me.
Yeah. You're gonna put this one piece into your broth and just let it simmer in your broth. Nothing fancy. Just let it simmer right down in your broth. Bring your broth up to a boil and then lower it down so it's simmering. I have a couple questions about the broth and how it's going. I'm going to show you guys a little video So right now in my broth, I have my shallots, my garlic, my shiitake mushrooms,
I know it's hard.
my trumpet scraps, my maitake mushroom scraps, and my kombu. Also, we have our veggie base right inside this broth. So this broth right now, John, you want to smell this?
Yeah.
You can smell how it smells, and it should smell. It can come up to a boil. It should smell like wild mushrooms,
That's exactly what I
shallots,
was thinking.
garlic.
Yes.
So this broth right here, you're going to bring it up to a boil and let it simmer in the broth. Everybody's good with the broth so far? Any questions on the broth?
You're gonna talk about the mushroom cutting one more time.
Talk about the mushroom cutting. Okay. Why don't you go for it?
Is this for Dave Zarnicki? Dave, do you know how to cut a mushroom stalk of? Let's go over this for Dave Zarnicki again. You basically took the two things that we gave to you, the
Royal trumpet.
royal trumpet. I was thinking of something else, but yes. And you basically cut the nub off, and you stick the nub in the stock, and then you take the other mushroom that's left. You slice it down the middle. Make sure you hold the knife correctly, and then after you have the two halves, you just slice them into pieces that look like this, or this, or this, or this, and then you put them into your bowl, and that's where we are. And then as far as the other type of mushroom, which is maitake, you just cut the nub off because that's the nasty nub, and you stick that nub in the broth, and then you put it just back in your bowl. That is it.
Cool. I think everybody's got it.
Thank you.
We have
I
more
have a
questions.
question. I have a question.
Yes.
Salt and pepper, does it go into broth?
No.
No, salt and pepper does not go in the broth, but the vegetable powder is correct in the broth.
The vegetable powder's in the broth.
The vegetable powder is in the
I
broth.
just watched them cut it.
Yep.
And the prosciutto.
The prosciutto is in the broth. A little nub.
Prosciutto is in the broth.
Yes. Okay. So we're good with mushrooms. We're good with broth. Then we're gonna talk about our herbs. We're gonna prep our herbs that are gonna go into with our mushrooms, but we're not gonna saute our mushrooms yet. You guys got 3 different kinds of herbs. You got a parsley, a flat leaf parsley. You got a tarragon, and you got some thyme. So we're gonna chop these herbs, and then we're gonna add them into when we're sauteing our mushrooms up. So our flat leaf parsley, you want to take off little of the leaves and take the stems off, just so like this, and just clean it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. I have a couple stems on there. Not a big deal if you have a little stems. Your tarragon, you're gonna do the same thing and just pick off your tarragon just like this. Your tarragon's gonna just clean it up, so you're gonna have a little bit of stems. Do you like tarragon at all?
No.
No. Tarragon has a licorice flavor, so if you don't like tarragon, you can take the tarragon out. You don't have to have the tarragon in there. So I'm gonna take those 2 herbs together, and I'm gonna chop them up. I'm gonna have Sean chop them.
Awesome.
So that he understands how to chop a little bit of herbs. So the best way to chop herbs, Sean, is what you're going to do is you're going to take the herbs and you're just going to rock your knife just right over top of them.
Got
Okay.
it. Yep.
Yep. So Sean is chopping parsley and tarragon, and he's just chopping them up just like that. Yep. What you want to do is you want to hold your knife and you want to rock it just like this. And they don't have to be perfect. We can call this rough chopping. It doesn't have to be perfectly chopped because we're just going to fold them in with the mushrooms. These are something called, if you added in chives to this, it would also be called fiend herbs. But it's a little bit of a mixture, and tarragon goes really well with mushrooms. So Sean's just chopping up the parsley and the tarragon right now. Your other herb that you have, which is a little bit more of a pain in the neck, is called thyme. And you can grow thyme, grows like a weed in your garden. I love the smell of thyme. Thyme has a really good effervescence to it, but it has, sometimes thyme becomes really thick and woody. This thyme is really thin. So you're going to want to clean off the thyme, but the way that you clean off the thyme is really easy. And I think you're good on that.
Good.
Put all that right into here. Yeah, perfect. So
I probably should wash my hands before we started, right? I'm just kidding.
So the herbs that he chopped are just like this. They're not really fine. They're kind of they're chopped up though. That we can mix them in later. We're going to put that off to the side with our mushrooms. We're going to keep that off to the side. The next thing we're going to do is chop our thyme. And the way that you pick thyme is basically by holding the stem to the bottom and holding it up and just getting some of the bigger thyme stems off of the bottom itself. But I still have a little bit of stem. So I'm going to be leaving with that and just throw that out. Now, I remember when I was picking, and I worked at a couple French restaurants. When I picked thyme, it would just take us like hours. Because the chef was like, I don't want any of these little stems.
That's why you dump it to the sous chef. I got you. I understand what you're saying.
That's why I sometimes dumped it off. When I was starting out, and I worked for this guy. His name was Thomas Keller, and he would just be like, I don't want to have any stems, just the leaves, just the little leaves on there. And you would be sitting there all day and your fingers would get cramped up because you would have to have a whole case of thyme chopped. Now this, I only sent you guys is like a half a bunch. A whole case is probably about 20 bunches. So
that'd be a lot of work.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
It's nice to be the boss.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm not going to be as picky as my friend there, my chef, but I'm just going to basically pick off the thyme leaves just like this. And I'm just going to rough chop it over top. And I'm going to add this to my herbs itself. You could smell the thyme. You ever use thyme?
No.
No, not at all.
I use hot pepper flakes.
Hot pepper flakes, a little bit. But if you grew thyme in your garden, basically it would take over your whole garden.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, So I'm gonna dump this right into my mixture. So in this mixture, I have my parsley, my tarragon, and my thyme in this mixture. I'm gonna wipe off my cutting board. The next thing we're gonna start to do is we're gonna actually make our nudie. You ready for this?
I'm ready to get nudie. I'm ready to get nudie. Yes.
And nudie is basically called a naked ravioli. Okay. So it's the center of the ravioli, the inside filling of the ravioli, and it's the center part of the ravioli. In Italy, it's called the filling, like the naked ravioli. So there's a couple ingredients I'm gonna have you do.
Okay.
I have ricotta cheese. I'll give you a mixing bowl. So hold on to that mixing bowl for a second. So I have all the ricotta cheese. I sent you guys about 12 ounces of ricotta cheese. We have 2 eggs, 2 whole eggs. Hopefully everybody got the eggs in one piece. We have Bianco Sardo cheese, which is a nice sheep's milk cheese that we're going to grate inside there. And we have flour. It's 00 flour, also called pasta flour. You can make your pizza with it. You can make other things with it.
It's not 0, it is 00.
00.
Gotcha.
One more time, all these ingredients real fast.
Okay, so you want to go over the ingredients?
Sure. All you want to do is you just want to have your ricotta cheese in a bowl with a spoon. You want to have your 2 whole eggs in a bowl. Your very special hard cheese that we're going to grate later.
Bianco Sardo, yeah.
Bianco Sardo. And not single, but 00 flour. And that's what we're doing.
It's a really simple recipe. You also want to make sure that you have, when we're going to make this, after we make the dough, we're going to put it into the water and boil them in the water. So if you guys have your pasta pots, which I think I asked everybody to have a pasta pot on with boiling water, you want to make sure that that is on. And I got one in the back here. Pour that right up front. So this is about a 20-quart pot because here at catering, we don't have anything really that small. In this is just basically water. Yeah, they should have been. Okay. Yep. If you don't have a pot of water, no big deal. Start filling up your pot with water and bring it to a boil. You don't need this gigantic of a pot. You could go with a little bit smaller. But here at catering, we either have little pots or gigantic pots.
I was gonna say, this is so much easier with Adam directly. I know it's a little more confusing at home, but this is a lot easier here. Trust me.
Once we get to do this in person, maybe we'll have classes here. It'll be a little bit easier. But I have about 12 quarts of water boiling. And then I'm gonna dump in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of salt. You're gonna dump in the salt. Everybody goes, oh my goodness, why, how much salt do you put in there, right? Yeah. You want this to taste like the ocean, probably the Jersey Shore.
You got it, yeah.
You want it to taste like the ocean so your pasta has some flavor. So get your pasta pot boiling and your water boiling, put some salt in there so it tastes like the ocean. And then we're gonna start to make our pasta. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take these 2 eggs, break 1 egg into the bowl.
Okay.
So we're gonna put 1 egg in our mixing bowl, whole, and then you're gonna do 1 egg yolk. You know how to do this?
Sure.
So the yolk, oh, the white goes in the trash.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Right, there you go. And just put the yolk right in there. Perfect. And then you're gonna mix those 2 up. So basically split 1 whole egg, 1 egg yolk is in the mixing bowl. And just whisking them up, mixing them up. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put all of our ricotta, so I'll take that whisk, and we're gonna put all of our ricotta right into that bowl. Yep. How's everybody doing so far? Everybody can split an egg and crack an egg? Yeah. You're gonna take that, you're gonna use your whisk again.
Okay.
And just whisk up the eggs and the ricotta together. Just be careful because it's a little liquidy. I'm gonna make sure you guys should be right now whisking up your eggs and your ricotta. You have your butter boiling with your salt in it. And on the back or in the front, depending on where you have it, I have my stock that is simmering right away. So right now, you're doing it. You're doing it.
I practiced earlier.
By the way, we're recording this, so Lori will get.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good.
For Valentine's.
I'm absolutely going to.
So
No.
let me show you.
I'll
Let me
make the
show
cream.
everybody.
I'm not going to do anything else.
Yeah, just leave the whole bowl. So right now I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So in this bowl right now is the eggs, the 1 egg, the egg yolk, and the ricotta cheese. And it kind of looks a little bit like whipped cream.
With this,
you
or
know?
no? Do we do the bourbon? Or is
No,
this? Okay.
no bourbon in this one. No. So right now in here is just the ricotta, the eggs, and then we're gonna add a pinch of salt, probably about a teaspoon of salt and about a teaspoon, maybe half a teaspoon of pepper. How much do you think that was? About a half a teaspoon?
At least.
Yeah. You're gonna whisk this up.
Adam, we're simmering with the lid off correctly?
Yes. No lid on the broth. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do, Sean, is we're gonna take our Bianco Sardo cheese. This is a hard sheep's milk cheese. And we're gonna take a microplane. I don't know if everybody has a microplane. You ever use one of these?
No.
So it's basically a cheese grater. You could use a box grater on the side, but on your cheese, you wanna take these rinds off the sides. So you're gonna cut down and just cut the rind off a little bit. This is Bianco Sardo cheese. It's a sheep's milk cheese. It's very hard. It's kind of resembles a Parmesan, but it's not cow's milk. It's sheep's milk. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna grate this down inside of our bowl. But one of the things we're gonna do is we're gonna save a little bit of this on the end so we can grate on top of the pasta afterwards.
So 3/4 of it, we're gonna grate it.
3/4 of it.
Okay, got it.
So, yep, start right at the tip and start grating it right down. You could use a box grater if you don't have a microplane. A box grater works really well. We're gonna grate about 3/4 of it down. Right, it doesn't matter if you get some chunks in there, that's fine. It is a very hard cheese. And it'll add a lot of flavor to this. And the taste of it will be amazing. So yeah, you're killing it there.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, I don't know.
Feels good.
How's everybody doing so far? Good so far? Yeah, get thumbs up, thumbs down. I see some people chopping.
Leave this much.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, tap that right on there.
Should we whip this a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna wait until they're.
Got it.
Good. So now in our bowl we have our cheese grated. We're gonna mix that up with the ricotta. If you can just mix that right up together. So in our bowl right now we have our Bianco Sardo cheese grated, a little bit of ricotta cheese, one egg yolk, and a little bit of salt and pepper in there. How's it look?
Looks awesome.
So it kind of resembles heavy cream, right? So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add, this is the trickiest part of it. So I'll go real nice and slow. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take your whisk and get rid of the rest of your ricotta so your whisk is clean. If you have a rubber spatula, or you could use your hands. See if I can move this. Everybody can see. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides of the bowl. This is the trickiest part of adding in your flour, because if you add too much flour, it gets too doughy. If you add too little flour, it'll fall apart in here, okay? So you're gonna help me with this. I'm gonna put this in here. So in my recipe, I'm saying about 4 ounces of pasta flour. Now, I gave you guys extra flour because when we go to roll them out, we're gonna use the extra flour to put on our hands. So we're gonna use about 4 ounces of flour in there. I've made this so many times I could figure out how much you need. So I'm gonna add this in, and then if you can fold it right into there, you know how to fold into there? So what you do is you take your spatula and you fold it over. Yep, exactly, just like that. And move the bowl a little bit so you mix it all together. Yep, so you're only adding enough flour so it starts to come together a little bit and stops looking like heavy cream. Yep. And mixing it perfect. You're doing nice.
Nice, brother.
Folding it together. I'm gonna add. You could see on the bottom here. Let me show them in the camera. You see in the camera. So we're only doing the bottom of this bowl has still a little bit of ricotta. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more right inside here, and so that it holds together. So if you want something that doesn't have that much cheese, this is not the thing for you. Just a little bit more flour. You want to finish folding that around?
Sure.
So the important part here is not to work it too much, because if you work it too much, all the flour gets a little bit too doughy. But if you're folding it in nice and gently, it'll work really well. How's it looking?
It looks amazing. You're an excellent coach.
So I think that looks like it's good enough.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's show everybody on the camera. So I have our dough ball. I mean, it's still a little bit wet. So if you go to touch it, it'll stick to your hands. But if you put your hands in a little bit of flour and make a little bit of a mess, it should touch it and nothing comes off on your hands. Okay? That's when you know you're going to add a little bit more flour into it when we go to roll it a little bit, but you don't want to add too much flour into it. So the dough should work where you're about 3 ounces of flour in there, and then you're going to roll a little bit more in there when we go to make it. So the best way, the easiest way to do this, Sean, I'm going to have you do it and make them and put them on like little cookie sheets.
Okay.
I'm going to show you one to start. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can use an ice cream scoop, right? Or you can use a spoon.
Got it.
Whoever has the easiest way to do it, if you have an ice cream scoop, this is a small ice cream scoop, or you can do a spoon. I'm gonna use an ice cream scoop. And if you wanna put your hands, like cover your hands in flour. Oh, sorry. Cover in flour. And basically, I'm gonna cover mine, right? So basically, I'm gonna take this scoop and go like this and just round it out. Nice and round. So it's like a little dumpling.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
going to give you a little scoop so you have enough flour on there. Put a little more flour on your hands. Flour's, a little more flour is better, so the flour is going to make the skin on the outside of it. Put a little flour. So you can scoop them. You can use a spoon itself. You see how it's coming together?
Yeah.
Put a little more flour on your hands.
Yeah.
And if it's sticking to your hands too much, you can add a little bit of flour to your dough. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Is it sticking too much?
A little bit, yeah.
No, okay.
Sticking, yeah.
If you're still mixing, keep mixing, it's fine. You need to add a little more flour. You're still mixing. It's not the right texture. It's not the right texture yet.
Okay.
We're still mixing, is that okay?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Just keep going.
Just keep going because we're gonna start. What you're gonna do is you're gonna have to make all the balls.
This is pretty good the way it was.
Yeah.
We'll slow down.
There you go. How's everybody doing so far? Don't mix it too much. You want it to be nice and light and airy. And don't press too hard on it. More flour. Didn't think you were gonna get this dirty, huh?
No, this is good. It's a good Valentine's Day gift. Yeah. That was the original purpose. Yeah.
So basically, you can scoop them right in your hand, and you want to gently roll them around a little bit. And if your dough feels a little bit too wet, you can add a little bit of flour to it. That's fine.
So I didn't realize ravioli was all cheese.
Yeah. This is the center of it, so you're
Oh,
just
this is the
using
center. I got you.
you're just using a little bit of flour to hold it together.
Got it.
Scooping that right in there. Yeah, add a little flour on top. How's everybody doing so far? Everybody doing okay? Here. Everybody's busy putting their hands and getting their hands all dirty.
These are, a lot of them are rolling, so that's a good thing. You're catching up. Hold on. There it is, rolling.
Feeling good?
Yeah, it feels good.
You ever make pasta before?
No,
No?
usually it comes in a box. I'm very cultured.
Now you're making it. Your wife's gonna be like,
Yeah.
you're gonna make pasta at home
I
now.
thought pasta only came in a box. I didn't realize it, yeah.
We need another tray?
Well, maybe. Do we have a lot more cheese?
No, this is a couple more balls.
Okay.
Everybody looks like they're ready.
I'm going to quit my job and come work with Michelle. This is my new career.
Yeah. We're doing another class tomorrow.
Everyone's very, very busy. People's water,
Yeah, everybody's should be having their water boil, and hopefully your hands are looking
Should I put it all in the same to make it easier? For
No,
you?
that's fine.
Okay.
And then sprinkle a little bit of flour over top.
How do you get the right consistency with these things?
If you, the right consistency is when you get to a point where it still looks a little bit wet, but you can touch it with floured hands and you put it in there and it forms a ball. So we had ours, I'm going to show you guys a little close up. Ours are still a little bit wet, but if you add a little flour, they'll start to form a little bit of a skin on the outside of them. You don't want them having too much flour. Then you can't, then when you go to roll them, they'll try it.
The garlic has been added, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the garlic is in there, whether it's before or after, the garlic is in there now.
How's that taste? Nice and hot? It's good? You got enough salt and pepper? Perfect. Okay, so we got our broth done in the back. The last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cook our nudie in our boiling water.
Before you go in there, can you please review the order of the things after the mushrooms go in the pan?
You wanna go for it?
Sure. You stick, well, you got to put the oil in the pan to get it hot. And then you add all those mushrooms that we chopped up earlier. And then you're going to add a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. And then you're going to add in your garlic that we smashed and we chopped up, and you're going to put that in as well. And then we're going to put in all the herbs that we chopped up earlier, that 3 combo herbs of stuff. And you put it all in and you start to spoon it together. You spoon the mushrooms with the other herbs and you spoon it till it starts to connect and become as one. And then you shut the heat off and you let it sit.
I'll show you guys a close up a little bit of all the part of all the. This is what our mushroom pan looks like. It has the herbs, the garlic, the mushrooms, all sauteed in it. We're just going to put it off to the side. We're going to use that in a second. We're going to put our nudie into our water. This does not take much time to cook. That's why I have everything else done. And then we're going to have our bowls ready to plate after our nudie comes out of the water. So, Sean, if you can try and dump these in, you're going to take very gently, just put them right in the water.
Got it.
Yeah.
So right now, very gently, we are placing the nudie into the boiling hot water.
Yeah.
Don't stick your hands in the boiling hot water. Just
Do not stick your hands in there. Do not get burned.
Your water should be boiling. If your water's not boiling, do not put them in. You want a nice hot boil on your water.
If your water's not boiling, hold off on putting them in there until your water boils.
Perfect. Right now, you can notice, Sean, I got a big enough pot of water that all my nudie is in the pot and it's still boiling. That's important because if you bring down the temperature too much, then it'll all kind of start to fall apart a little bit. Got it. So at this point, I have a that we're going to take them out with.
How long are we leaving them in there?
We're going to leave them in there for about 5 minutes.
Leave the nudie in the boiling water for about 5 minutes. What should it look like?
Yeah,
Like
maybe
what
when you're
makes
ready to
it?
pull 'em out, you can put it under that.
Okay, we will show you when we're ready to pull it out. We will show you exactly what they look like, or what they're supposed to look like before you pull them out. I know everybody's
They're almost
thing
like
temperatures are
gnocchi,
different.
right? So I'm going to pull them out. I have my 2 bowls ready, and we're going to pull them out and put them right into our bowls. And we're going to pour our broth over it and garnish with our mushrooms and a little bit of cheese. So in the pot of boiling water, my water was still boiling when I put it in, and now they're starting to float to the top.
So right now the water's boiling. The nudie is floating to the top, starting to float to the top.
Put them in, they sink to the bottom. Now they're starting to float to the top.
Kind of like a ravioli. If you cook raviolis and they start going to the surface, that means they're almost done.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and so if some of them are actually breaking up in there, that's fine. You're going to have a couple of little stragglers.
Just means you screwed up.
So we're going to let them come up to a boil. We're letting them cook a little bit. And if you want to test them out to see if they're cooked all the way, you can take one of them out and you can cut that right in half. So it's almost there. You can tell that the inside is still a little bit cold. It's a little bit warm. It needs to be a little bit more, but you can see how it's creamy, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna make maybe another minute, and then we're gonna take them out and we're gonna put them right in these bowls. You wanna try that?
Sure.
So here's a spoon. A slide spoon. Let's take a minute.
Sure.
So they're boiling. I have salted water in here. They should be. You want to try one? Try this.
You can eat that.
So,
Ready?
yeah. If you taste that, go ahead, taste it. You can taste a little bit of the flour still.
Yeah.
Right? Can you taste that raw flour? That's why I wanted to cook it just a little bit more.
Right.
And now they're ready to come out. So you want to pull them out, and we're going to portion them in each bowl.
Got it.
Adam, set a couple aside for Sean without the.
Yeah. Just be careful when you pull them out. So I'm going to show everybody one of ours. So our nudie ball comes out, looks just like this. It'll look a little bit cheesy. That's fine. Yeah, before, there you go. Is that about half?
Well, we gotta make sure Michelle and Celeste have.
No.
Some of our nudie balls. Celeste and I have these nudie balls all day.
So we're just spooning them out. They're gonna fall apart a little bit, but if you have them the right texture, they should be creamy on the inside and a nice little skin on the outside. And you could serve these with a tomato sauce if you like. I've actually taken these and deep fried them, and they come out almost like
Like a ragu?
like a little.
Don't insult the chef. This looks
Right.
awesome.
So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our broth, and we're gonna take the broth itself and just pour it right over top, just like this. I'm not straining the broth at all. Just gonna pour it right over top. And let them float around a little bit inside there.
And so the insides of the broth, that was what created the broth. You're just letting that bit.
Just letting that go. You could strain it out. You could use it later.
Yeah.
You want to take a little bit of these mushrooms.
Okay.
So you take a spoon, that spoon, and put the mushroom powder right in the center. Okay. I'm going to show you a trick on when you hold your spoon.
Okay.
If you hold your spoon like this and let it run off this way, you have more control.
Got it.
Left hand, so you got Perfect. Put it right in the middle.
Oh, he's left-handed.
How's everybody doing so far? But not least, you're gonna take that Bianco Sardo cheese and you're gonna grate that right on top.
You're awesome, dude. You're really an amazing chef.
How's that look?
It looks fantastic. I love 12th Street Catering. They are the greatest caterer in the entire universe. Because they have an amazing, incredible team, and Adam is spectacular. Michelle is amazing. So if you do any event ever, it's got to be 12th Street, or just don't do it.
Well, I think you guys did an amazing job, and I have to say, I'm pretty impressed, Sean. For somebody who doesn't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, you were very comfortable. This looks incredible. I want to invite everybody to please stay a little bit after you finish your meal, and you'll get broken into rooms so you can have dinner together. We wish everybody a really happy Valentine's Day. I wish we could all be together to hug and wish each other the best of wishes, but it's at least great to see everybody, and I look forward to seeing everybody in person. Have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's weekend.
You're awesome. You're amazing.
Thank
you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you guys. Enjoy. Your dumplings are good.